Good morning. Today we are working with CO57. I can classify and draw regular, convex, and concave polygons. So we're working with those shapes still. We talked about triangles, we've talked about quadrilaterals. Now we're going to be working with lots of different numbered sides. So first thing we want to know is what those polygons are for classifying them. A polygon is a geometric figure made up of three or more line segments that intersect only at their endpoints. So basically, it is an enclosed figure. There's no openings to it. An enclosed figure with straight edges. So no curves. Has to be three or more of those sides, because if there's only two sides or one side, it's not going to be closed up. Has to be straight lines, no curves to be a polygon. So examples of a polygon might look like this, or it could look like a star. There's no curves, all straight lines, and it is closed up. Examples of not a polygon could be this, because there's an intersection not at endpoints. It has to intersect only at the endpoints. Could be something like this. It has a curve on one end, so not a polygon. Or something like this. It has an open side. It's only a polygon if all of the sides are closed, the sides are all straight, and they only connect at their endpoints. So now we have a table. This is going to be something that you're going to put on a help sheet, because the table tells us the names of the different polygons based on how many sides they have. Some of them we're going to go, oh yeah, I know that. When we get to the higher numbers, we go, ooh, I didn't know some of these. So let me erase and scroll up. We're going to want to put the names of these different polygons. So if it is a three-sided figure, we know that name. What is that? Three sides. I should see every hand in the air. What do we call a shape that has three sides? Bridget? Triangle. Triangle. Think about what we learned with the four-sided shape. We just learned this one, Bennett. Not a square. Because we can have a four-sided shape that is not a square. What do we call it if it has four sides? Very good. Quad means four. And remember, the lateral means sides. Quadrilateral is a four-sided figure. Triangle has three. Triangle, tri means three. So there are three sides. Quad means four. What do we call a 5-sided figure? Lexi? Pentagon. Penta means 5. What about a 6-sided figure, Lila? Hexagon, very good. 7-sided. Sophie, say it again, louder. Heptagon. So sometimes we see heptagon, sometimes we see septagon. So I just want you to know hepta and septa both mean 7. One's Latin, one's Greek, but they both mean 7. Hepta and septa. What about the 8-sided figure, Sarah? Very good. Octagon. 9-sided. Baby. Non-agon. Non sounds very similar to 9, so that makes sense. What about 10-sided? Emma? Decagon. And on our homework, Mr. Schultz gave us a word that's not on here. It is the 12-sided figure. The 12-sided figure is called a dodecagon. So we need to add that one on there for our homework. We do need to know the dodecagon for 12. So this is something you're going to want to put on the help sheet, because on the test that we are taking after spring break, on the test it will say, give the name for this figure, and you need to be able to count the sides and say what the name is. Or it might say, draw a heptagon, and you need to know you need to draw a polygon with 7 sides. So we need to know these. We don't have to memorize them because we can put it on our help sheet. So working with these polygons, we need to be able to classify them as regular or concave or convex. So a regular polygon is a polygon with all sides equal in length. And all angles equal in measure. Knowing what we know, talking about that with the triangles and the angles, what mathy word do we use if they are the same measure? Lila?
Congruent.
Congruent. So basically a regular polygon has congruent sides and angles. Who can give me an example of a regular polygon? Janet just gave me one earlier. A square. So an example would be that square. Square has the same measure for the sides, and all of the angles are 90 degrees. So they are all congruent. Adeline, does a triangle have to be congruent? No, if it was an equilateral triangle, then it would be regular. But not all triangles are congruent. All squares are. That's the definition of a square. The sides are equal. The angles are all 90 degrees. So a square has to be congruent. A triangle does not. All right, congruent sides are marked with notches through each side. So if we have our square, we would put one notch on each side showing that those are all congruent. If it's a rectangle, we have two short sides. So those are the two congruent sides. They have the same number of notches. The two long sides are congruent. They have the same number of notches. So those notches tell us which sides are congruent. You match up. If it's one notch, it's congruent with any other one notches. If there's two notches, it's congruent with any other two notches. Three notches would be congruent with any sides that have three notches. So those notches tell us which sides are congruent. Now congruent angles have the arcs. So if it's an equiangular triangle, it would have one arc for all three angles. They are congruent. An isosceles triangle would have two arcs because there are two angles that are congruent. Remember that isosceles triangle had two sides that are congruent, two angles that are congruent. So when we're looking at our polygons, always look for congruent sides, congruent angles to know if they are regular. And I need to scroll up. Now we have a concave polygon. A concave polygon will always have at least one reflex interior angle. This is an angle that measures between 180 degrees to 360 degrees. I like to say that the side looks caved in. So when we were talking about those polygons, we've seen polygons where the sides all go to the out. If it is concave, it would have a side that looks like it caved in. So that interior angle is a super big angle. So the inside angle, they have one really big inside angle. These angles are small, but one angle's really big. The shape looks like it caved in. Concave, there's a cave-in happening somewhere on that shape. Okay? Convex, interior angles are less than 180 degrees. No cave-ins. Those interior angles are less than 180 degrees. So, no cave-ins. So that's the difference between concave and convex. Concave, we've got a cave-in happening. Convex, no cave-ins. That makes sense? So, on our work page, says classify each polygon as regular, convex, or concave, and then by its number of sides. So we're going to have two words we have to write. Regular, convex, concave, and then write the name of the polygon. Classify it. So let's look at our first one. Does that first one look regular? Are there notches showing us that sides and angles are congruent? No. Does it look concave? Is there a caved in side? No, there's no cave-ins on this first one. So it must be convex. And then we have to name it by the number of sides. What type of polygon is that? Sophie, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So when we look back at that table, 5-sided polygons are called a pentagon. You must have both words written. The directions say regular, convex, concave, and then classify it by the number of sides. Down here, you have to draw an example of the polygon described. So if we look down here, it says a nonagon. So you need to draw a shape that has how many sides? Adeline? Look back. Nonagon has how many sides? You can look back at that table. Non-agon. So look at the table. Look, 9 sides. So your polygon that you're going to draw, no curves, all straight lines and closed, you need to draw with 9 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can draw it whatever way you want, as long as there are 9 sides to it. So I was counting it out as I was drawing to make sure I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sides. On the test, you're going to have to draw polygons. Your responsibility to make sure you have the correct number of sides. All sides are touching, there's no open spaces, and there's no curved lines. If you draw messy sloppy, there's a good chance you're going to curve one of the lines, and then it's going to get marked wrong. So go slow to make sure you're drawing your lines as straight as you can. You don't need to use a ruler, but you can't go so fast that you're messy sloppy. Think about what it means to be a regular octagon. What do you have to show me? Regular means they have congruent, so you can show me notches and arcs. You can show me numbers. But you must show that it is regular, either by number measurements or by the notches and the arcs. The next section says, write whether each statement is true or false. If false, draw or write a counter example. So if it's a true statement, you just write true. Yeah. If it's a false statement, you need to prove it wrong, either with your words or with your picture. So I see here a quadrilateral cannot be regular. What is an example of a regular quadrilateral? A square. So this would be false. And you could write the word square, or you could draw a picture of a square showing that the square has congruent sides, congruent angles. They have all right angles and all same measured sides. So if you write false, You have to prove why it's false. Write what would fit there. And then on the bottom, it says time for review. So look back at other objectives to help you answer those. Any questions on this page? So remember, we have Khan Academy due on Thursday. We have packet number 9 due on Friday. If you will be gone for spring break early, get those done and turned in early. Don't have it hanging over you over spring break. That packet 9, you can be turning in up through Thursday to make corrections. I have a few more to pass back when we're done with this lesson. Be working on that packet 9. That video has been on my YouTube channel since the beginning of last week. Khan Academy, due Thursday. Be getting those 100%. Okay? Keep redoing it to get the 100% so you get all the points. You get all the learning. Thursday's our last objective of this unit. So that means Friday, it's a regular work day like we do on Fridays. The week after spring break, Monday's a review day, Tuesday's practice test, Wednesday is the test. So know that when we come back from spring break, we will be testing. Not the first day, because I would never do that. That would be kind of crazy. But we will be reviewing practice tests and regular tests. Okay. Any questions at all for me? All right. When you're finished with this lesson, you can work on memorizing the Stations of the Cross, getting those checked off, work on your packet, work on your Khan Academy. If you're all done with everything, work on Math Masters, or come see me if you want to work on something else. If you're watching this at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.